July 26, 1983, Munich, West Germany, the World Athletics Championships. A 32-year-old woman from Czechoslovakia, a communist state operating inside one of the most systematically corrupt sporting environments in human history, crouches into her blocks for the women's 800-meter final. She runs 1 minute 53.28 seconds, a world record. The crowd cheers. The result goes into the books, and for the next 43 years, it stays there. Untouched, unbeaten, and almost entirely unquestioned by the sport that continues to display it as its highest achievement in the women's 800 meters. No meaningful drug test preceded it, no accountability followed it, no governing body has ever launched a formal investigation into how a 32-year-old woman, competing inside a political system that has since been comprehensively documented as a factory of state-sponsored athletic fraud, produced a time that the entire clean era of women's middle distance running has been unable to approach for 4 decades. The record sits in the books, not because it was proven legitimate. It sits there because the sport lacked the infrastructure to challenge it in 1983 and has lacked the courage to challenge it in every year since. Keely Hodgkinson is 23 years old, the Olympic champion, the indoor world record holder, and she is done waiting for the sport to do what it should have done years ago. She is coming for the record herself, and when she breaks it in London this summer, in front of her home crowd, fully tested and fully documented, she will accomplish something that Jarmila Kratochvílová, for all the numbers beside her name, can never claim. She will do it clean. Do it.
I kind of learned that I'm like just superhuman, not superhuman. Unfortunately it's happened. It doesn't tell you how you deal with it. It's one bad move. It doesn't make me or break me. I just forget about it.
Keely Hodgkinson was born on March 3, 2002 in Leeds, Greater Manchester. The same day in a coincidence that feels almost too neat for a sport that loves its narratives, that Jolanda Seplak set the women's indoor 800-meter world record that Hodgkinson would go on to destroy 24 years later. She has been coached by Trevor Painter since her teenage years at League Harriers, a relationship built on patience and precision that has protected her development from the kind of early overexposure that has derailed so many talented young British athletes before her. At 19, she won silver at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, the youngest British athletics medalist since Dorothy Hyman in 1964. She arrived in Paris 2024 as the favorite and delivered, winning Olympic gold in 1:56.72. Then on February 19, 2026, in the industrial city of Liévin in northern France, she ran 1:54.87 at the World Indoor Tour Gold Meeting, taking almost a full second off Seplak's indoor world record, a mark that had stood for 24 years. She crossed the line and collapsed. When she had recovered enough to speak, her first words were, "Thank God. That was fun." A 23-year-old who breaks 24-year-old world records, collapses over the finish line and describes the experience as fun, is not an athlete at the ceiling of her ability. She is an athlete who has not yet located her ceiling and is running toward it with the specific, terrifying confidence of someone who does not yet know where it is. The arithmetic of how close Hodgkinson is to Kratochvílová's record is the most compelling single data set in women's middle distance running right now, and it deserves to be read carefully rather than summarized. Her outdoor personal best entering the 2026 season was 1:54.61, set at the London Diamond League in July 2024, 1.33 seconds from the record. On June 7, 2026, at the Stockholm Diamond League, she ran 1:54.33 in her first outdoor 800-meter of the season. A new British national record, improving her outdoor best by 0.28 seconds in a single race. She finished second in that race to Switzerland's Audrey Wero, who ran 1:53.98, the closest any woman has come to Kratochvílová's mark in the modern era. Let that number register. 1:53.98. 25 years ago, that time would have been a world record by 5 seconds. In 2026, it finished first in a Diamond League 800-meter with Keely Hodgkinson right behind it. The gap between Hodgkinson's current form and the 43-year-old world record is 1.05 seconds based on her Stockholm run. She is 23 years old. She has the indoor world record. She has the British national record. She told BBC Sport she has never felt closer to it. And her coach, Trevor Painter, a man who does not make public predictions carelessly, believes she can break it. The trajectory is not pointing toward the record. It is pointing through it. There is a fire underneath Keely Hodgkinson's 2026 season that the statistics alone do not fully explain. And to understand it, you need to go to Tokyo on September 21st, 2025, the World Athletics Championships Women's 800-meter final. Hodgkinson is the Olympic champion, the world-leading performer, the overwhelming favorite. Kenya's Lillian Odira, competing in her first World Championships, having only made the semifinals at the Paris Olympics, runs 1:54.62 to win gold in a championship record. Hodgkinson's own training partner and British teammate Georgina Hunter-Bell runs 1:54.90 to take silver in a photo finish. Hodgkinson, the Olympic champion, takes bronze, third place, behind a first-time world champion and her own training partner in the event she was supposed to own. The pain of that result is not buried in the background of her 2026 season. It is the engine driving every training session, every race plan, every conversation with Painter about pacing and peaking in London. Tokyo is why the Stockholm 1:54.33 carried the specific intensity it did. Tokyo is why the London Diamond League has been circled on the calendar since the moment the 2026 season began. Tokyo is the wound. London is where she intends to close it, with a number that makes every other conversation about the 2025 World Championship irrelevant. Hodgkinson has been specific and public about where she wants to break the record. London, the Diamond League, the Olympic Stadium. She told BC Sport, "London is very special to me." She ran her outdoor personal best there in the 2024. The crowd, the track, the atmosphere of a home Diamond League meeting, all of it aligns with what Trevor Painter is constructing for a record attempt. The pacing structure of a world record attempt at this level is not accidental. The right rabbits, the right field, the right wind conditions, the right preparation load going in, Painter will have mapped every variable. And here is the detail that makes the London attempt particularly significant beyond the athletic dimension. If Keely Hodgkinson runs 1:53.27 or faster in London in the summer of 2026, fully tested, fully documented in front of 80,000 people in a global broadcast audience, the question about what happened in Munich on July 26, 1983, stops being a private conversation and becomes a public one. Because the moment a clean athlete breaks that number, the sport can no longer point to it as evidence that the record is legitimate. The clean era will have produced a faster time. And the 43 years between Kratochvílovva's run and Hodgkinson's will have to be explained in a way the sport has never been required to explain them before. That is what is actually at stake in London this summer. Not just a world record, an accounting. Here's the verdict on Keely Hodgkinson and the record she is chasing, stated as directly as the facts allow. The 1:53.28 was set in 1983 by a 32-year-old woman competing inside a communist state sporting system in an era before meaningful drug testing, in a political environment that has since been documented as having administered performance-enhancing substances to athletes as a matter of state policy. No woman in 43 years of competition, and across every era and every advance in athletic science, has replicated it in the clean era. Hodgkinson is the closest any woman has come. 1:54.33 in Stockholm, 1:54.87 indoors, improving at a rate that makes the gap look smaller every time she steps on a track. She is 23 years old. She has 9 years of peak competition ahead of her. She has the Olympic gold, the indoor world record, the British national record, and a Tokyo bronze burning in her chest that she has not yet finished converting into fuel. When she breaks 1:53.28 in London, and the direction of the numbers says when, not if, she will not simply become the fastest woman in 800-meter history. She will be the woman who did what 4 decades of athletes could not. She will have done it clean, documented, and in public. And the record that should never have existed will finally be gone.